Hello and welcome to 8-Bit Bourbon. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Baynard. With me, like always, is Andy Polidor. This week's episode is all about the things we loved in 2013. We thought about doing like a best of, but honestly, I don't think we've played enough, done enough to like really judge.
Yeah, we don't want to say that this is the best things. These are just our favorite things.
This is our favorite things because a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of good things out every year. We all have different tastes, and we just want to do something, let you guys know what we like. We're going to try to connect with you guys a little better on this episode. So we're just going to do things we really like, and we brought somebody along to do this episode with.
That's right. It's a special guest. This is a man who eats stock trading algorithms for breakfast. He's a maritime aficionado. He takes the ferry from his New Jersey beach town to his fancy Wall Street job. And most importantly, he's a Polidor and my brother Ben. Ben, welcome to the program.
Welcome, Ben.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of 8-Bit Bourbon, and I'm happy to be on the show today.
This is a late recording because Benny was hanging mirrors and other married things that married men have to do.
Yeah, I had to hang some mirrors and some artwork for the family visit tomorrow. So.
Christmas in New Jersey.
I went to Lowe's today. I went to the
maybe Bed Bath & Beyond.
You sound like Will Ferrell from old school.
Yeah, there wasn't quite enough time.
We're gonna go to Home Depot. Maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have enough time.
How did you?
So before we continue, can you guys just do me one favor? Let's start all calling it 2013.
Yeah, no, you're right.
What did I say? 2000?
I
You're
think
right. If it's 1999, it should be 2013.
Should I say
exactly?
Can I say 2014 or do I go? That's it. Just we're gonna keep rolling up to
No.
See, Betty, you guys will.
On.
2013. All right, I got it.
The fans will find out
Doesn't that just roll off the tongue?
Ben is very particular about certain things, and this is just this is just one of many.
I just stopped saying 2012, so this is gonna be a big step.
Yeah, you're gonna say 2013 like 100 times here.
Start calling it the year 2013 if you want. That way you can split the difference.
I'll screw that up.
All right. Well, should we get into it here?
Yeah, I think
All right,
so.
Yeah.
Let's start with our favorite games of 2013. Adam, you want to fire it up?
Yeah, I have a couple things down here. I didn't play too much. It's been a busy year for me. But the things I did play, which is pretty much I stuck with the multiplayers we talked about in our early episodes how we're more multiplayer people. But the big one for me, and this is really funny because this game was created on the single player experience. Like everybody plays this game. I think it sold more games than any other game. I think it outsold Call of Duty Ghosts this year. And that game is Grand Theft Auto 5. And I never played a minute of the single player. But I think it's one of my favorite games just because it had a very interesting multiplayer. And the fact that it was very repetitive and it could get very boring, but there was something about it that you just kept coming back playing.
I think it had those water cooler moments that we talk about where, you'd fly, you get dropped off into the, the military compound.
Oh, yeah.
You'd steal jets, fly out of there. But then the best part was we'd just kill each other. You'd finally get one of those jets, blow each other up, jump out, parachute, hijack a guy's car.
Yeah.
I think we both agree it got old a little quick.
Yeah, it did.
But boy, was it fun
It
for
could
the first
be, and
week
that
or
could
two.
have been like one of the best multiplayer games ever. Like I think they're in way over their head because there was so much you could do. Mm-hmm. But the
next one I think will be very
just
good.
Too much. It was almost like too much to do because they didn't put enough missions in there for you.
Yeah,
constantly be playing the same missions over and over
again.
They
nailed the open world environment and multiplayer, but they didn't give you enough specifically.
Yeah, I mean, you rank up, and as you hit ranks, you get new missions. But then
you
once
just
you
do
get
them over and
once
over.
you get from say rank 80 to 90, you're doing the same missions over and over again.
And I have to say, as someone, I didn't beat single player mainly because of the next gen launch, and I was trying to sell some stuff to rationalize buying both systems for myself, but the single player was awesome. You definitely, as Grand Theft Autos are.
If they ever do if they bring it back to 1 or PS4, then I'll definitely go back and play it. Mm-hmm. But actually, I wanted to bring up this. This is really nerdy. I think it's nerdy. I don't know. But Sons of Anarchy, the show. Mm-hmm. In Grand Theft Auto 5, you could create your own clan or gang, whatever you wanted to be in, and they allowed you to upload pictures to make like your crew emblem. And
Yes.
my roommate, Mike, he made us a Sons of Anarchy clan tag, and we were allowed to put it on like leather jackets, and we rode around in motorcycles, and we looked just like the Sons of Anarchy.
And that was one of the greatest parts of the game.
It was the best thing I've ever done. Like, it was so cool to see like 4 of my friends living out like one of my favorite TV shows. We looked like Sam Crow, and we'd roll around and we'd just kill everybody, and it was awesome.
That was one of the best parts of the game. Is like I'd be in, robbing a store, and I would come out, and you wouldn't tell me that you had logged in,
Yeah.
and I would come out, and you'd be standing there on your new like yellow car with like sunglasses and a diaper on, like just totally unexpected.
Yeah, and it's so corny and it's so like lame, but it was awesome to see that on, because there were other we tried to get Sam Crow as our clan tag or gang whatever name. Somebody already took it, but I don't know if they ever did that. And when we were rolling up on people, I felt like just such a badass in a video game, and I don't think I've ever felt like that before.
That was I think Grand Theft Auto 6 will be really cool multiplayer. I think they learned from
I hope
their
so.
mistakes.
Because it
and-
could have been good. They just never put any missions to it.
Yeah, the open world was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just needed to do more. Benny, why don't you give us something? I know new family and busy with work. You probably don't have too many gaming experiences this year, but let's hear
I was
it.
gonna
Do you have
say,
any?
I didn't even know Grand Theft Auto 5 had multiplayer.
At least you know it existed.
Yeah, that's why we brought Ben on. Give it a new perspective.
Yeah. I mean, look, for me, I think my favorite game this year was probably Words with Friends. I mean,
Hey, count it.
I didn't really get into it until the next gen launch. By then, I had my house in order. I had just moved this year, and so I had a baby this year, so I didn't really get much gaming in. But with the launch of the Xbox One, which was my system of choice, I've been getting in. I mean, from 0 up to like 4 hours a week, maybe a little bit more, and it'll probably pick up a little bit more after the holidays as well. And I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I feel like gaming is something that I really have always been really into, mainly real-time strategy. And I think the second StarCraft 2 pack came out this year, didn't it? And I didn't even play it.
I know, I didn't either.
Which makes me
I didn't
quite
know- I
sad.
didn't even
I don't
know
even
it
have a
came out.
computer capable of playing it right now.
Yeah, we were huge StarCraft fans.
What I'm hoping for, I mean, if I look forward to 2013 with respect to gaming, which I think is more relevant for someone like me who didn't play much this year, is I would love it if they would just let me play StarCraft on my Xbox One. Just
Ben's
let
a
me
big
plug
proponent
in
of
a
wanting to
keyboard.
just play his real-time strategy games in the living room.
You can. If you want to play StarCraft, you can buy a Nintendo 64
It's
and
true.
go back and do it.
That's true. It wasn't so bad.
I don't think it was that bad either. I
wasn't
remember
bad.
going to the video world and actually renting it.
Yeah.
I'd be
No,
like, it's not bad. I think that was like my first experience with StarCraft, because I didn't have the PC, because I used to play it at your guys' house, and you guys had the computers, and
Boy,
I never.
would you have gotten whooped if you played even a beginner who had a keyboard and mouse.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Controller's terrible for that, but
yeah,
But yeah, I mean,
that was my
what is-
first
What is the
experience. on it.
Xbox One? It's a Windows 8 computer. So
Oh,
just
yeah,
let
I
me
mean,
plug in a keyboard.
you could plug in a
a
keyboard
mouse.
and type and
and,
stuff. I believe. I know you couldn't the old systems. They just choose to not allow you
Yeah.
to on in games, which we'll see though, because I know Xbox, they want their phones and their computers to have very similar software now, so games are easier cross-platform and stuff. So why not offer whatever
Yeah.
World of Warcraft 2 in the living room? Why not?
Did any of you guys try Diablo 3 on console?
No.
No, me either. I heard nothing but good
No,
things
I
about
didn't
it.
either. I'd be willing to give it a shot, but
Yeah.
I kind of didn't get it because I knew that I wouldn't be able to play it on my Xbox One, and I didn't want to have an Xbox
Yeah,
One
yeah.
and an Xbox 360 hooked up.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
so I sort of didn't buy anything with the approach of the with the One, but yeah, I'm really enjoying the Xbox One. I mean, and I heard you guys talking about last week the Battlefield 4, and I mean. It's very frustrating that I can't play half the time, but when I do play, I find it really enjoyable. And I mean, my perspective as a sort of casual gamer is you can actually make a difference in Battlefield 4.
Hey,
I mean,
you're a
I was,
spotter.
yeah, I mean, so I mean, just as an example, in the last game, I mean, I had my typical kill to death ratio of 0.5, but I was actually 10th place in our team out of 32, and the reason was I was as a recon class, I was out there doing my job.
It's
I
very
was
cool
spotting.
how you
I
can.
was marking with the laser so people could hit things with their missiles. So,
Yeah. And that's kind of
you
something
know,
you've been looking for a while is like a first person shooter where it's not just Twitch headshots, it's a team strategy thing, and that really does reward it. It's so cool that you can be a sniper, mark vehicles so that other people can hit them with laser guided missiles, and it when the game works, it really is amazing. Like it's seamless, right?
The last couple of days have been phenomenal on it.
Yeah, and the new patch actually did fix a lot of things. It's not perfect, but the patch launched yesterday or 2 days ago.
I don't remember.
It's since the last
This week's
podcast.
been a blur.
yeah, I think it was maybe on Wednesday, I think.
Well, there's been
So-
two, I believe.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, the game actually allows for a casual player to be useful. I mean, look, you'd probably prefer if I did all those things and had a kill to death ratio that was above 1.
Right,
That would
but
probably be good.
But outside of
But,
deathmatch, it is nice that you can do that because if you're playing Halo or Call of Duty and you're going 5 and 15, you're totally a detriment. In Battlefield, it's it's not in deathmatch it's one thing, but in Conquest or in Domination or some of the other game modes, the kill to death ratio is almost irrelevant. Unless that's like your main job.
I used to be so bad. I would follow that thing. I would protect that thing with my life. Like I hated having like lower than like a 2.0 kill death ratio, and once I got past being okay with it, not following it, I enjoy games so much
Oh, absolutely.
more. 'Cause it doesn't mean anything.
I used to do that in Halo 2, and then I realized, not Halo 2, but Halo as well. I mean, in any of the Halos. And then I realized, like, if I do this, I can't play with my friends and have
Yeah,
fun
you can't.
because I'm
Eventually
going
it just stops being
or
fun.
you can't play Capture the Flag because if you're the guy who's going 20-2 and Capture the Flag, you're not really helping the team. You're not doing the right things. So kill to death ratio is very overrated unless you solely play obviously team deathmatch.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in team deathmatch, I mean, I don't think I've in Battlefield 4 yet contributed to a team deathmatch. It would always have been better if I wasn't there.
Well, and I bring up, if you're a fan of the show, I bring up Ben as a example of someone who, kind of what me and Adam are talking about, our transition into somewhat adulthood and how our, interaction with games is differently. And now Benny, who has even less time than us because he has kids and a family. And it is interesting how it changes. And games like Battlefield 4 really allow you to have a good gaming experience without putting in hundreds of hours, And I think you're looking forward. We don't want to get too much into 2014 because that's going to be our next episode. But I think you're very much looking forward to Elder Scrolls because you've been dying for a console MMO where you can sit on the couch and, explore a world basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for things. I mean, look, what I'm good at, what I bring to the table in gaming is I think I'm pretty good at strategy. I'm pretty good at just sort of being creative about how to solve problems, and you can do that in like World of Warcraft and in StarCraft, and that's why I was a big fan of those games. And I have not really ever had that kind of experience in console gaming, but I guess part of the reason I got the Xbox One, because I had a 360 I barely used, is that I sort of looked forward to the opportunity to have an MMO or even an RTS. I mean, because I think there was some promise that they were going to open that up a bit. So, but mainly the MMO. When I saw Elder Scrolls Online, when I saw Destiny, I was like, you know what, this can be good for someone like me. It's not just going to be how many headshots can you get in an evening. I mean, because the answer is 2.
Yeah, it's good because you want that social gaming experience where it's not all stress of sometimes it's hard to enjoy yourself. Like when I'm playing Halo, I'm not enjoying the social aspect of it. I'm not enjoying talking to people. It's go there, get over there. And Halo's one of my favorite games ever. But it is nice to be able to relax a little bit and talk and because we all live different places now, and that's it's kind of like hanging out. That's how we hang out with each other. We get on Xbox, we get on the computer, mainly Xbox now, but. It's that social part of it I think we all enjoy.
And Ben, being the casual gamer that you say you are, have you tried Peggle 2 at all yet? Because that's a game you can just pick up for you can play for 10, 15 minutes and you can walk away from it. There's no real commitment.
I know.
to
I
it.
guess for me, whenever I look at games like that, so I guess I'm kind of an odd breed because I would say I'm a casual gamer, but I really like to play multiplayer games. Like I get really bored with single player games pretty quickly, and I just like games that are kind of vast feeling. So I like to feel like immersive, and so games like Peggle 2, I respect them, and I actually get into them if somebody makes me play for 2 minutes. It's sort of like I procrastinate. I'm like, yeah, I'll play that sometime. I never do.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. It's because I mean Peggle 2 is such a casual game. It's as we talked about, it's a phone game.
Yeah.
The only reason you get it for consoles is to play the multiplayer,
Yeah, you
and
play
it's
with
just a
your friends.
fun,
It's fun.
like stupid, somewhat competitive game.
I have some
but-
serious problems with Peggle, but that's not we won't.
That's not here
discuss.
nor there,
No,
yeah.
because I have it on my list as one of my favorite games of the year. Let's just enjoy it.
Well, let's talk some other games here.
Do you have any games?
Well, we already talked about Zelda. We had a big portion of our last podcast to Zelda, so I'm not going to get too into that. That's my favorite game of the year. I absolutely loved playing that game. I think it's the best game on any console. That's how much I loved it. And as I tweeted today, I saw that GameSpot gave Zelda the game of the year.
Yeah,
and I just want to say that this, medium.com/@Andy Polidor, he had it first. He had it first. What else did we like? Oh, one, as an aside, Benny, you'll enjoy this as well. I don't know that you're even supposed to pronounce this game, but it was an Android game, possibly an iOS game. I have an Android phone, but it's RYMDKAPSEL. Rymdkapsel?
Rymdkapsel. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to say it, but
Boy,
I
what an
actually
awesome
enjoyed
game,
that
though.
Yeah,
That's
really good game.
if you haven't played it, you basically it's a very simplistic graphically game. You're in the middle of space, and you have basic building options to prepare yourself for an attack is kind of the idea. And there's minerals that you have to build out to, and you build your base out, and you have to have food, you have to have minerals, and something else. I can't remember exactly what it's all called, but
It's kind of like StarCraft and Tetris combined.
yeah, it
believe
is.
it or not.
It is. Yeah, because each piece is like a random shape too, and it's very important to keep you have little drones that walk around the base automatically. It's very key to have your base be contained, and it's a very hard game to explain and say like this is, it's not going to sound amazing, but if you haven't played it, I strongly suggest you go get it. It's probably really cheap now. I don't know. It's probably $1 now.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had it on my my Vita, and then I have it on my Android as well. And it was one of the first games that I played this year because it was like basically around the summertime I started to have a little bit more free time, and I was like, I'm gonna pick up a video game. let's see how this goes. And that was the game I picked up, and it was really fun. I think it also was made, I think, by like one guy. I think it's just
That's
an
amazing
indie,
if that's
like,
true.
Like the ultimate indie developer, like literally independent. One person,
It's
I
like
think, made
Notch.
this
The
game.
guy made Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's a great game. Actually, I think The Verge is what turned it on to me. So hats to them. But
I didn't know it was on Vita. That's pretty impressive.
yeah, I think it actually was there first.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
then,
it works
and then
great as an Android game, though. I don't know if Vita was touchscreen as well or if they use the controls, but
Yeah, it was touchscreen, and that's. I mean, don't even get me started on Vita. I didn't enjoy it that much. I felt the touchscreen. I almost wish it didn't have a touchscreen. I think they really didn't know. I think they wanted to compete with phone games, but then forgot that people buy the thing because it has a joystick on it.
right. Well, and
So-
I think that's the problem too, is that it's just easier to port a mobile game than it is to port a console game, obviously, to something like that. So you end up getting the mobile ports, which are the touchscreen ports, and hopefully, as I said in my PS4 review, hopefully the PS4 launch makes people buy the Vita for the shared screen,
Yeah, the
or
remote play.
the remote play
Yeah.
capability. But then hopefully that will also make more developers develop for it because people bought it. 'Cause, the chicken and the egg thing. You got to have people buy it before people are going to really develop.
Yeah,
for
when
it.
I pick up my PS4, I'm waiting for the PS4 Vita bundle. See what that has to offer.
Yeah, and Benny, you bought it because I think you thought you were going to get PS4, and you kind of wanted to segue back into gaming a little bit, but
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we need to spend too much time on this. I think it's about outside the context of the show. But yeah, I bought the Vita. I thought I was going to get a PS4 just because it was cheaper. And then I ended up getting Xbox basically because of Titanfall and Halo 5. I just thought to myself, wait, hang on here.
you're
not
not
gonna
looking to play
Halo.
single player games really. And I think if you're a big single player game player, the PS4 is the place to be. If you're a social player, I think Xbox is the place to be. I think that's kind of how they distinguish themselves. And
Yeah,
we'll see
and the
if
other
that
thing for
continues into the
me-
next gen. But
The other thing for me is I forgot how much I hated, and you guys covered this at length, so I don't want to go too much into it, but I really hated the PS3 controller.
yeah,
And I was skeptical that they'd be able to make it good. And PS4, it sounds like they did, which is great. But I mean, the Xbox One controller, I just knew would be at least as good as the 360, which was my favorite controller ever. So it was really the controller and Titanfall that made me spend the extra $100. I'm not sure I value my Kinect very much, but I've got one.
yeah, you
So
sure do.
we'll
You
see.
didn't have a choice,
Yeah.
but you've got one.
Yeah, exactly. So see if they impress me.
Okay, Adam, do you have another game?
Well, I think we have a mutual game. We got into NHL 13 big time. So when NHL 14 came out, that was pretty much the only game that we've played for the last, I don't know. Well, actually, before the Xbox One came out, that's all we played.
Yeah, I would say that was 90% of my gaming
Yeah.
this year, and if you're not including like mobile games and stuff like that. But
Kimmy Gibbler and Uncle Jesse.
that's right.
Scoring some goals and knocking people out.
That's right. Our entire team was full house characters.
Yeah, that was, our team was awesome.
Let me just say something about NHL. And I, first of all, we were all very pissed. Once again, EA. NHL 14 was such a joke of an upgrade from 13. To charge a full $60, it basically added a fighting mechanic that was like gimmicky and fun for the first week and then got old. We all bought it because we all like to play in our league, and they knew that we would do that. They didn't even upgrade it for the next gen. Didn't even launch it on the next gen. I would have rather bought it as a port. I think we all would have.
That's
for the
what
next gen.
I would
Same
have,
game,
I would have
no
waited,
upgraded graphics. But what the NHL series does, and I think there's a few sports games that do this, and I wish that they would do this for other games, is they have playoffs. So in 14, they were actually weekly. So every Thursday to Sunday, you'd have playoffs, and it was double elimination. So if you won 4 games in a row without losing 2, basically, because you got double elimination, you win a banner and you move up in your division and a cup. And every time you play a team that week, they have to watch your banner get
awesome.
unfurled, which was very cool. And like, how cool would it be if Battlefield had that or Halo had that? Wouldn't that be awesome? Like Thursday nights, you have 4-on-4 deathmatch playoffs. I think that's something like every game should do, because there's nothing more intense than when you're playing in those NHL playoffs. Your palms are sweating. There's something that like you care a lot more.
I get too excited and I have like anxiety. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah.
It's so nerve wracking.
It really is. It's because everything. We all play very seriously. No one's taking bad penalties. It's like everyone's playing defense.
Try not to take bad penalties.
Well, yeah. Some
Kimmy Gibbler's usually due for about 8 minutes in the box.
8 minutes, my ass. We're like 12. All right, Benny. I think we went over your games. Do you have anything else, Adam, that you want to mention?
I wanted to say Rise if you have an Xbox One, but I want to put like an asterisk by it because I went back and started playing a little bit of it last night, and it's really like a decent game, and it's cool to see the graphics, it's cool to see what they do, but I just don't think it's worth the $60. So maybe if you can get it like for like $30, I would say check it out.
And
I just don't.
And
think
I said
it's
this
worth
to
it.
you,
There's not
and
enough there.
And I think you agreed in one of our previous podcasts. I think it's Assassin's Creed 1. In other words, it shows so much promise, but the sequel is going to be the game that you were waiting for.
And I've enjoyed my time. Like I love the multiplayer because I'm a big fan of the Russell Crowe movie Gladiator and like the TV show Spartacus, and it's just a rip off.
You could just tell.
that.
You could just tell that it's so rushed.
And
Though.
it's
Like
just fun.
there's parts of it that are like amazing, and then there's parts that they were just like you said, like you felt like the story. They're just like wrapping it up in 5 minutes because.
Yeah, but if you have $60 and you want to buy a game, I wouldn't tell you to spend that $60 on Rise. But if you can get it, if you can borrow it, if you can buy it cheaper, then I would highly recommend it.
Yeah. Let me see. Do I have any other games?
Yeah, I mean, I bought Assassin's Creed 4. I have only put about 2 hours into it so far, so I'm not sure I can.
Oh, that's
judge
right.
it
How's
yet,
that
but
going?
I can tell you that the naval battles are really cool.
I told you he was a maritime aficionado.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Do you prefer to
Urban Mariner.
ram the boats or shoot them?
I don't know. What is that?
Because I guess you can you could
I
fight
had
them.
more
ram
fun
the boats.
shooting
Ram
them, and you
them,
can
yeah.
ram them too. But shooting them is pretty cool. I mean, it's a neat system the way it works. It feels pretty. I think it feels somewhat. I don't know. Realistic is the right way to put it, but it feels somewhat captivating.
Yeah. Well, that's it
But,
seems like that'd be a very immersive game. You throw the headphones on and you're at sea. Which is kind of what you were talking about.
I mean the graphics are ridiculous, and
that's a game I
it's
might
just-
need to pick up. That looks really cool.
Yeah. Have you gotten into
Yeah.
finding songs for your your crew to sing? I heard that's a big thing.
Yeah,
like,
I
people
heard
enjoy
that's
doing it.
like the shanties.
Yeah,
they
the
call
shanties.
them,
Okay,
so,
well, I didn't want to say
yeah.
shanties unless I was correct on that. I was going to say sea shanties, but I'm like, isn't shanties what they use to like ice fish? Is that the same thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't really know what the etymology of that term is.
The only thing that I know about shanties is Shooter McGavin tells the fans to go back to their shanties when they're booing him. Back to your shanties. I don't remember. He hits a nice shot, they boo him.
Yeah, I'm sure he meant their songs. Yeah, at that game, I think. I mean, look, I haven't played enough to give it like a full review. Like Battlefield, I think I could give a good review, but I think you guys covered that last week. But yeah, I think it looks really good, and it's just I mean, it's an Assassin's Creed game, right? I mean, it's fun, and it's just great
cool,
single player. And I just said I don't like
single
single player much, but
no, me neither.
I only bought it because Battlefield was breaking.
Right. Assassin's Creed got money because another game was broken. 100%.
Yeah, because I mean, I would have been satisfied with the campaign.
Right, but Ben's single player got
burn
wiped
a couple hours
twice.
Yeah,
so
for a guy
so did
who
yours,
has
Adam.
4 hours a week to play,
Right.
2 single player wipes are just death. I mean, I'm not starting that game. Again.
Does anyone in the world like go doing something that you've already done in a single player game? Everyone's had it happen, whether it's a computer game or a console game where you lose your save game. Even doing a level is a disaster. It just feels so tedious. But when you lose your entire game, it's like throw this game in the garbage, you know?
Yeah, if there was a disc, I would have smashed it. Luckily, I had the digital download.
Right.
So
You didn't drop kick the Xbox like our brother would.
no.
I just want to throw in one more game here. It's a game that I played in 2013, and I think it was between 2012 and 2013, but it's a game that didn't come out in 2013, which, by the way, that's going to be a theme here. These are things we enjoyed in
it's just things
2013.
we enjoy. I mean, we could have picked up some in 2007.
Yeah.
We spent most of our time.
But this is a game, if you have not played it, you can get it on PlayStation Network or Xbox Live Arcade. I don't know if you can get it on the next gens yet, but Braid is one of my, I'd put it in my top 10 games ever. Not arcade games. The music, the puzzles, how smart it is. Like when I talked about how Zelda puzzles were, one dungeon has more ingenuity than entire games in the industry. This game is like that. It is unbelievable. I think, Benny, you've played it a little bit. It is hard. It is unflinchingly hard.
I put the first painting together.
Hard.
That's about as far as I got.
It is so good.
I really liked it.
The story is actually really good too, and I don't want to ruin anything, but if you can go get this game, it is worth whatever it is now.
It's got to be cheap on Steam.
I think it was even like no more than $20 to begin with. I think I got it for like 10 or 15. So
I got it for $10, but yeah, I mean, I like the little prose too, and reading the books at the various like interludes between major levels.
It just gives you little snippets of the story.
Poetic.
And the music is a 10. I use the music to do work all the time. If I have to, if I'm programming or I want to write something, I use that music. The music for that game is a 10. I think he took classic songs and kind of remixed them a little bit, but if you have Google Music, if you have whatever, go on YouTube, Google the Braid music. It's awesome. It's such good classical like work music.
Speaking of one-man developers, I'm pretty sure that was developed by one guy.
And I've heard he's a very controversial guy.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to say. I don't know if
We're
you've ever
going to
seen
talk
him on
movies in a
Twitter.
little bit, and I don't think this movie came out this year, but I think it made its appearance at what's a developers conference in San Francisco? Is that? I forget the name of it.
I'm not sure.
But this movie's called Indie Game the Movie, and it's about
yeah, that's right.
It's about the guy that did Braid.
Is his name Jonathan Blow?
It might be.
That sounds right to me. I don't
it's
know if
about
that's
him,
true.
the guy that did Fez, and the guys that did Super Meat Boy. Mm-hmm. It's a very good movie. It shows like what they go through and how they try to get their game out there, and like how they're low budget people and they're actually trying to like get these things done. Yeah, it's a very good movie. I like documentaries, and I recommend it if you're a video game guy. It's good. Yeah, the guy that develops Fez he can be annoying to watch, but
he's the guy that I love, Annoyed Gamer.
Yeah.
He apparently went off about the Fez developer, and he supposedly canceled Fez 2 because of the Annoyed Gamer.
Oh, is that the guy?
And I don't know that it's a fact that it was because of him, but it seemed like it was because he went crazy and he said, like, basically, F everyone, and this isn't worth it anymore. I'm canceling Fez 2. I don't know if he took the easy way out and it was just not going well, but I never played Fez. Actually, that's not true. I did play it a little bit. I didn't get into it that much, but everyone says it's like amazing, like similar to Braid, where it's like very deep puzzles and. But no, that sounds and should we use that to segue into kind of
Go to
the
movies,
music, TV, books,
Okay,
whatever?
let's do it. Yeah, because this podcast, we our first 2 episodes have been all about video games, but we do want to talk more than just video games. We want to talk tech. We want to talk probably sports and just entertainment in general, things that we enjoy.
And segueing into movies, I just heard this today. I don't know if you saw this. Do you know the story of the E.T. Nintendo game? How it sold so poorly.
Are you talking about the documentary that's coming out for
Yes,
Xbox?
Xbox One is releasing a documentary where they're going to go excavate the landfill that supposedly they buried. If you don't know the story, they apparently printed up millions of these games, and it was one of the worst selling, like, disappointing games of the of that generation or of all time maybe. And they supposedly they had a landfill and they filled it with these horrible ET video games. And Xbox One's first, because they're going to have like original series like Netflix and stuff, but their first foray into that world is going to be this movie about excavating.
I'll be interested to see the Halo series that they're going to come out with.
Yeah. Well, now what's Spielberg's involved in that? Is he's producing it or something?
I have no idea.
Because he announced it. I remember.
Did he announce it?
Yeah.
There was a Halo movie on Netflix not too long ago. I don't know if it's still up there, and I can't remember the title, but it actually wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
It was about like the beginning. It was about the beginning of like the Spartan Project and like.
I really don't know. I know some people are going to hate me for this.
It was actually pretty cool because you remember those YouTube videos? I think they were. The guy that directed District 9 put up those.
Red versus Blue?
No, those were fan
I think his
movies,
name's Neil Blomkamp. Is that his name?
Something like that. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he made these like test reels or whatever they were to try to get this movie made, and they were gonna do it, and then something happened. But
yeah, they've been rumoring the Halo movie forever now.
But and then the Halo movie ended up being District 9. I believe that's how the story went. Yeah, the guy he left and then went and did District 9.
9 was great.
Yeah, fantastic movies. Yeah.
All right, Benny, am I putting you on the spot here? Do you have a favorite movie of the year?
Yeah, I don't know that I do. I feel like a lot of the movies this year were not very deep. I mean, I can tell you toward the end of last year, I think it was called Beasts of the Southern Wild. Is that the name of the movie? With
that I believe so. I saw that this year. So that was one of my favorite movies of the year, even though I don't think it was released this year.
None of us.
Yeah, I think it was a 2012 movie, but I mean, it was. I saw it in Q4 of 2012, so I'm gonna round up here. But I mean, that was the last movie I saw that I was really impressed by.
That movie was.
Obviously I enjoyed some things, but
that little
I feel like a lot of the movies this year were pretty thin.
Yeah, I'm not a big goer to the movies anymore. I saw Beast of the Southern Wild on my couch. I thought that little girl was one of the best child performances I've ever seen. She was unbelievable in that movie, as was her father. But yeah, Adam, what do you got? What's your favorite movie?
I got a little one that's. It's actually I've seen it a lot coming up on Twitter. I caught this movie on CNN, and I personally, I love documentaries. I'll watch just about anything I find interesting, I'll watch. Mm-hmm. And this one is called Blackfish, and it's the story of like pretty much SeaWorld and the orcas that they have in captivity. And it is phenomenal.
Yeah, I heard of this
and
too. And
I've been to SeaWorld. A couple years ago, I vacationed out there, and we went to SeaWorld. Or we went to San Diego, and I vacationed Jesus Christ. I went to San Diego, and then we went to SeaWorld. And I actually saw these orcas some of them are in the movie. And after watching this, I've never felt more guilty in my life for paying SeaWorld for the whales. You could just see it. It's crazy how they humanize these whales in this movie. And they have like graphic like attacks from these whales on their trainers, and they talk about like how dangerous it is to have these things in there. And it's one of the best documentaries.
A little one-sided. I mean, I feel like some of
these
documentaries are kind of polemic, and they just basically take a really one-sided position, and you walk out of there thinking like SeaWorld is just the worst thing on earth, and it's probably something a little bit in the middle of what the vision of SeaWorld is and what that movie said it was. But
yeah, I think the point they're trying to get in these movies is that these things are big wild animals, and that they're complex animals, and that you can't they live in the same family their whole lives. If like the mother never leaves their children, the children never leave their mother. And then when you take one from a different pod to another pod, I guess they have like different languages. And it'd be like me going into like a different country and like living with somebody. I don't know their language, and that's impossible for me to live with for a while. And they're aggressive, and they just don't know how to handle these animals. And then they try to train them.
And to be fair, I'm sure it is an extremist view of what goes on, but to change people's minds, to make a difference, sometimes you have to have that extremist view and make people think a little bit. Maybe it's not totally true, but there's got to be some truth to it.
And I went to SeaWorld like it was a week after that trainer was killed. And it
the
was
one that got dragged underwater.
Yeah, and it was they weren't allowed to enter the water anymore with the whales.
Yeah.
And but I mean, the show is awesome, so it's kind of like I don't want to say it, but it's really cool. And like ever since I've seen Free Willy, this is really like corny, but killer whales have always been my favorite animals, and I've been dying to see them. I always wanted to see them. It was my only opportunity, so I went. I was like 27, and it was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. Just to see these animals.
Now you kind of see it in a different
now
lens
I see it,
after
like,
seeing that.
I don't know. And then that's probably, it seems weird to like a documentary about killer whales in captivity, but the movie is just so good, and you should check it out. I mean, obviously they have like, but they have like a point they're trying to get after you. Like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about SeaWorld. Like they have to be doing some good. They're making money. They're protecting animals. I'm sure they're bringing awareness to protecting the animals outside.
And that's the.
So I don't know where I
hard
stand
part,
on it, but like when you watch, you almost feel guilty for going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the zoo, right? And it's like it's really nice to see the tigers, but then you're like, wow, that tiger is in a cage in the Bronx.
Right, that is not a happy animal. It
Yeah.
can't be. How could it be?
I mean, you can see these big killer whales because we all know like the male dorsal fin goes down, and that means like that only happens when they're in captivity. They don't know why, it just does. And it's kind of sad because that it's like that's an animal that's never going to be in the ocean and be free.
We think of every animal, as because we all have house pets, whether it's a dog or a cat, and they're bred to be, house animals. They're bred to make us happy. They're bred to be happy. Just living a life where they, hang out and they're happy to see you when you get home. And these wild animals, when you're taking them into captivity, it is definitely it's a different thing. They're not happy to be pat in the head. That doesn't make their whole day. That's I don't know. Like you said, but they raise awareness, I think, big time.
Yeah, they
for
absolutely do.
for the wild animals. So.
It makes you care about them. It makes you like. Before I ever went to SeaWorld, I never had like it's a weird way to say I don't have a relationship with killer whales, but to actually see them in real life, like you care about them a little bit more. And like I don't want people out there doing like out in the oceans. I don't want people like hunting them or killing them. And it just brings a little awareness in a weird way that I care about them a little more than I did before, because you see them and you see how they are, and they're amazing animals. It's incredible that we live in a world that you can see like a 16-foot whale jumping out and like splashing water at you. Like, and it looks like it's just playing and having fun. It's amazing.
Well, you see, it's the holiday times, and at 8-Bit Bourbon, we're not afraid to get a little emotional.
No, it is. And oh my God, when you want to talk emotional, there's another movie on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it, but it's another movie. I'm just a documentary person on Netflix. It's about a killer whale that gets separated from its family, and it lives in this Canadian like bay. And it lives there for like 5-6 years. And these people don't know what to do with it because it's so friendly and it loves people so much. Like it bumps boats. You can't move without this thing chasing your boats. I don't think it's called Luna, but the name of the whale is Luna. If you Google like Luna killer whale, don't Google how it ends.
Why don't you tweet it out?
Yeah, I will if I can find it. But yeah, I'll stick with the killer whale documentaries for my favorite thing of the movies of the year.
I think I would have to go with Beast of the Southern Wild. That's the only movie that I thought like, wow, this is something I'll remember. I know Benny doesn't agree with me here. I thought Star Trek Into Darkness was awesome.
Yes,
I love the first one. I'm a huge fan of what's his name? Sherlock.
Jesus.
Benny, do you know his name?
It's Chamberlain Cumberbatch, I think.
Cumberbatch.
Is that right?
No, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict,
yes.
yeah.
I think he's amazing.
Yeah,
Sherlock is one of my favorite
who he
TV
reminds
shows
me of?
ever. If you haven't seen Sherlock, get on Netflix. Watch every episode. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen.
When he talks, he reminds me exactly of Snape from Harry Potter. I think they have the exact same voice. Like
Yeah,
if
well,
you,
he's
if
got
you,
the
if
same
you, yeah, it's
complexion,
like this
right?
deep, crazy like English voice. They sound exactly alike. So if there's ever a Harry Potter reboot, Benedict
for
Cumberbatch
me,
is available for Snape.
Into Darkness, I just felt like there wasn't much character development, and I never really felt like there was any danger of them not winning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a
You know,
Star
and
Trek
I felt like
movie.
the first Star Trek movie, well, the first under the new ownership, it just had a lot more depth to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's part of a series, and I think there was definitely a lot more character development in the first movie. But you get to know the characters of the first movie. The second's more of a whirlwind. But I wouldn't say they always win in the second movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin the plot, but there's some things that happen that aren't going to be undone in the second movie.
Well, speaking of weak character development and like an outcome that you know is going to happen, I really enjoyed Man of Steel. I thought that was one of my movies that was
Jeez,
up there.
I did not like that movie at all.
I liked it. Why did you like it?
I just thought that it was, I don't know. I didn't care about one person in the movie. I just thought it was just like, it was like The Matrix 3 the whole time. It was just like chase scenes.
That's
and
tough.
I
Those are fighting words.
a lot of people love that movie.
I don't love it.
didn't-
I don't love it. I thought because I'm excited for like what they're gonna do with the Justice League, and I thought that was a good.
God.
I thought that was.
I've just never been able to care about Superman. It's like,
Superman!
so
I think is
you
one of the worst
can't
superheroes.
die.
Yeah, you
What's
can't.
the
Like,
drama here?
He's God.
like he has
basically.
two weaknesses.
Yeah.
One of them is like pieces of his own, like his homeland, and the other one is magic. It's like you couldn't think of anything better but magic.
Yeah.
It's like David Copperfield can come out there and whoop the shit out of Superman.
Yeah, I didn't like that movie. I didn't like the first Superman. I didn't like the second Superman. I'm not a fan.
David Blaine will walk out there and do a card trick, and Superman's head will blow off his fucking shoulders.
So what did you guys think of Pacific Rim? I mean,
I did not see it.
I did.
I saw it, and I actually paid $20 to see it on my phone just because I was bored.
Oh, I thought you were
and
going to say
needed watch a
$20 to
movie.
see on IMAX 3D. That was not expecting you to say that on your phone.
No, I know. I was on an international flight, and I was like, I need a movie, and you can't rent it obviously because they're jerks. So I was like, whatever, I'll just buy it. So I'm the proud owner of a digital copy of Pacific Rim. But I'll tell you, I liked it. I just couldn't. The construct just annoyed me because I was like, why don't they just use stealth bombers?
Right.
Why do they need the
Because
robots?
then you wouldn't have a movie about big robots punching monsters in the
but I mean,
face.
I feel like they could have motivated it better.
Yeah, I
It's
think they
almost
were
like,
going for that whole
remember
corny thing.
like in the Matrix when they said that they needed humans for batteries. I was like, that's the best you can come up with. I was like, what about like, just you need humans as like a random like an entropy generator, or what I mean, something that makes sense. Batteries. I mean, these are the people who have fusion power. I mean, so it's the same kind of thing in this movie. I was like, I liked the robots. I thought it was really cool and fun, and I thought the character development was pretty decent. I mean, for a cheesy big budget movie, but like, why did we need robots? And they didn't do a good enough job motivating that. And I feel like
they introduced them like immediately. It's like, by the way, the robots are in the first 5 minutes of the movie. You're just like, what the hell? Like, yeah, I thought they were gonna ease into it a little bit.
yeah, because I mean, the first it was not Jaeger. What are they called? The Jaegers are the robots, right? So what are the?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the first monster that they killed. What did they kill it with? They killed it with an F-16.
Right.
And I was like, well, that seemed like it worked.
Yeah, right. And those
Movie be
F-16s,
15 minutes long.
the F-16s probably cost 1,000th of what one of those robots would cost.
And we already happen to have like, So I just felt that was my problem with the movie, is that they never explained why F-16s weren't sufficient.
Yeah. All right. But all right, let me jump in here. I hate to be negative Nancy here. I thought that movie sucked, and I love that director, but I felt that. I understand it was supposed to be corny. That's a part of it. It really was. Like, that was like a
It
big.
was like Starship Troopers kind of thing.
But
Oh my God! Can
That-
Starship Troopers just come out every year?
I love that movie. But in Pacific Rim, I just thought that I thought the acting was so bad, first of all, and I just thought for similar reasons that you said, like if you really start poking holes in the plot, it comes apart like Swiss cheese, and it's just I hate to be that guy, but it's just too easy in that movie. It's very hard to take seriously to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there was.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
No, go ahead. I mean, I said my
haven't,
piece.
I haven't seen the movie, but I heard like when people like make fun of it, was there just like they knew the monsters were out there, right? The whole time. Is that thing? They're out in the ocean. Is that where the monsters come from?
There's
And
like
they just build
portals.
and they just build a wall, right?
Yes, they build. No, they build walls around the cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the monsters are huge, right? So
Yeah, it's
the
so
wall would
stupid.
Never
I forgot about that. Yeah, Benny, you remember that? They build
Yeah, I
walls
spent
around
a lot
the
of
cities.
time on the wall, and I was like,
And then
I was
the
like-
monster just comes through and like punches through it, basically.
Yeah, he's just like, peace,
Yeah.
whatever. They probably had to call in an F-16 then to kill it. But,
Yeah, right, exactly.
just throw money away.
I love visually amazing. If you're into that, I kind of wish if I was gonna see it, I kind of wish I saw it in IMAX, not necessarily 3D, but yeah. Let's. Anybody else got any movies they want to
I was
discuss?
just gonna say I have just two comedies. I say This Is the End and The World's End were probably my favorite comedies.
What was The World's End?
That was the Simon Pegg, Nick
Oh,
Frost,
yeah, I didn't see
Edgar
that
Wright.
one,
It was
yeah.
the last movie of like the Shaun of the Dead and
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the trilogy, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I thought This Is the End was
Yeah,
good too.
it was
It's funny.
You can't
it's
go
not
in
gonna change
expecting
your
much.
life.
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's a good movie. And also,
just a quick update, guys. I just got a work email. It's from Male Enhancement, and it says I can get my orgasms intensified with a free 30-day trial.
You want to forward
supply.
that to us?
Yeah, that could end up on the favorite things of 2013
Yeah, seriously.
if they deliver.
Yeah, that wasn't to my Gmail. That was to my Exchange work email.
I don't know what
So,
you're up to at work.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope
At 2:15 a.m. Nonetheless, they know when to reach you.
that's the best time. Yeah, best time. So guys, I think as far as movies, I mean, I don't know. For me, I felt like 2013 actually was a great year for books.
Yes.
And 2014 looks
Go ahead.
amazing for books.
Go ahead and jump in. I just want to say that I think 2013 is, if not it could be the best reading year of my life, but definitely the second best reading year of my life, I would say. And we read a lot of the same books, Benny. We suggest books to each other. So why don't you jump off with something?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just finished, the first book of the Stormlight Archive series.
The Way of
the new
Kings.
Way of Kings. And I mean, I loved it. It was 1,000 pages and it read like 200.
I thought it was. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess the thing is, like, when a book reads that fast, sometimes you wonder to yourself, like, is this actually a good book, or is it just a page turner and he just keeps, like, getting you to the next suspenseful moment? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of depth to it, and a lot of, I think I loved 5 characters in it, and I knew and understood and had got my head around 10 other characters.
Can I just say that the answer, in my opinion, to that first comment that you had is who cares? You enjoyed the shit out of reading it. Every page of 1,000 pages, that's a good book. It doesn't matter if it's corny.
Yeah,
matter.
I've read books like A Bag of Potato Chips has a similar feel to it sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
I love potato chips.
Is that
when
a
you
book,
finish-
or is that you actually talking about a bag of potato chips?
No. When you finish that bag of potato chips, you raced through it, and it was a pretty good time. But then you finish it, and you're like, what exactly just happened here? Like, why did, I mean, I think.
No, see, I don't agree. Because that kind of book, there's not a big change from the beginning to the end. And what you said is true. The best books, every of the best movies, everything is character development. And that book sets you up to care about characters for the rest of the ridiculously long 13,000 page trilogy. I'm sure, or trilogy series. I'm sure it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, when you finish that book, you miss the characters. You're like, oh, I wonder what so and so's thinking right. I wonder what Dalinar would think about that.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, they were really good characters. Really good characters, I thought.
Yeah, and it wasn't predictable either. I mean, I didn't think so, at least.
No, I didn't think so.
And yeah, I mean,
very
it was
neat
great.
ideas. Like, I think something we love about the books, where they'll just take I don't know how to explain it really. They'll make the world very small for a certain character, and I don't want to give away too much, because if you haven't read this book, you should absolutely read it. But I'll just say that the cave, the underground cave cleaning in the bridge crew.
Yeah.
That was so cool how he brought that character into this small little world. His world for most of the book was this tiny little camp, basically, and it was just the things that he made up this world, and then he made up what would happen inside of this world, and it was really creative. Didn't you think that part, the bridge crew?
Yeah, I mean, the bridge crew, I was like, when he got to the bridge crew, I was like, oh boy, how long is this gonna last? You know, like I just figured it was just like another bump in the road to where he was going.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
You know, it kind of reminded me of Name of the Wind when he got to Tarbean, and he was like, and I spent the next 3 years there, or 10 years or something, and I was like, whoa.
Right.
You know, I was
Right.
not
10 years
expecting that,
later.
you know? I thought it would just be like a little, you know, like a 20, 30 page
Yeah.
thing. So.
No, yeah, me. I thought the same thing, and once again, we don't want to give away too much, but I just thought it was really creative how he did that and included that into the larger picture of what's going on, and just like the small things, the things they had to do, the way that the camp worked that you believed, that was what was cool about it.
Yeah, and there was a few parts. I don't know if you caught this or not. I'm trying not to give too much away, but I actually was a little bit. Like, I don't know if scared is the right word, but like, it's one of those things where you're like, if you're reading a horror book and you close your Kindle at night and it's completely dark and you're like, I wish it wasn't so dark. And that was mainly with the girl who could draw. What was her name?
Yes.
There was a couple parts of that where I was actually scared.
Extremely creative, right?
I almost just said something.
Yeah, and it's mainly because you just identify with the characters so much. It's not like I actually thought that was going to happen to me. It's just these characters are so deep in your head that you feel what they felt, and it's emotional and it just sticks with you when you close the book. So, but yeah, I love that one. And I like that I read it in such a way that I only have a couple months to wait until the sequel comes out, which I will just devour.
Because we discussed this a while ago, and I said, this is a book we obviously need to read. It gets great reviews everywhere, but let's not touch it until the second one's on the horizon, because there's going to be like 10 or 13 of them or something.
That's what I'm doing with the Dance of Dragons. I haven't touched it yet. I'm waiting.
Yeah, God, I'm jealous. Boy. I read that, bedded to like the first week it came out.
It's been so hard, but I have to. Like, I don't want to wait like you guys do it.
Yeah. I might have to reread that book because it's going to have been so long,
So yeah, I mean, other books in 2013. I think AJ, you turned me on to a series that I would say for me was I don't know if this is an award you can give, but the Turnaround series, or the Turnaround book of the year.
And I know exactly what you mean by that.
So tell me what you think it is, and I imagine because I think I've told you this comment before. But,
and it's a book that I gave up on. It was called I think the first one was The Prince of Thorns. It's the holidays. Be careful. The first
Old
book,
Testament then.
Yeah, the Old Testament. The first book was The Prince of Thorns, and it was a trilogy. And I thought that the first book, what was do you remember the name of the series that we were reading? That it was very like popcorn fantasy that we were enjoying, but it was like really easy reading.
Yeah, it was the Thin Blade one, the Sovereign of the Seven Isles.
Yes, that book. That's how the first one felt to me. Very.
I totally agree. Very amateur,
very shallow,
very indie.
And very fast. Like I felt like, I don't know how many pages it was, but that's not what I mean. I just felt like the story was like, whoa, wait, it's over? That's it. But I was on Amazon, and you get your alerts, and it said sequel out, whatever, and it got really good reviews, and I was like, oh, that's odd. So I waited many months to read the second one, and then I did. I was blown away how good it was, and I thought the third one was even better. And both of us really enjoyed that series, right? It almost makes you wish he could go back and write the first book again, because it's clearly the worst book of the series. It's not even close.
I know. I feel like, I think, I'm not sure if this is the same author, but I feel like he said that he was basically working full time when he wrote the first book, and he's writing part time, and then, it sold well, even though I thought it was not. I thought it was a B at best. And I think he got advanced for the next two books. The series is The Broken Empire.
Yes.
And it's by Mark Lawrence.
To give just a brief, I think it's a must-read if you're looking for a fantasy book. But to give a brief synopsis, he cleverly combines it's kind of like Star Wars, far long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's in the future, but it mixes the future with a medieval fantasy feel. And I'm not going to tell you how he does that, but there's a mixture of technology and fantasy, and it's really well done, don't you think?
Yeah, and it's exactly the kind of thing I would want to do, because I'm a big sci-fi guy, but honestly,
but you don't
space is pretty boring unless you do it right. I mean, a lot of books just, A lot of space. There's not too many space operas that are actually like high quality books.
I like sci-fi a lot, but I find a lot of sci-fi laughable, and I find, and maybe that's hypocritical because I find so much fantasy awesome, and maybe I should find it more laughable. But I find that
there's just-
sci-fi can be more laughable.
Yeah,
it makes me cringe a little
that-
bit sometimes.
I don't know if it's just like long trips on roads that make fantasy. I don't know. There's just something about
Yeah.
the medieval time that makes for a good
I'm
story.
the same way. I would rather see
know?
orcs and all that crap than like aliens.
Yeah, and a great sci-fi book really captures me, but
Yeah.
a shitty fantasy book still can. I guess that's the difference.
Yeah, like
you know,
have you guys ever seen Clerks too?
I've seen Clerks.
Well,
not
they
Clerks
argue
too.
about like what's a better trilogy, like Return of the Jedi or like Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings. I would have to go Lord of the Rings just because like I like that stuff better.
Yeah.
I don't know if the movies are better than the other ones, but I just like I'd rather see like elves and stuff like that. And
I would probably go
series.
Star Wars there, though. I definitely it's
Yeah.
close. It's close only because I like that world better.
I just
agree
like
with
that kind of world. So yeah, I don't think I've ever read like a sci-fi like space book. Mm-hmm. Like I hear decent things about like the Star Wars Beyond like Return of the Jedi. There's like books that are supposedly very very well written.
Well, if you're looking for, I haven't read a lot. I actually read a couple like of those offshoot Star Wars books when I was a kid that I liked. I have no idea what they were called, but if you're looking for a great sci-fi trilogy, it's a book that Ben turned me on to, and it's Hyperion. That's one of your favorite books ever, Benny. It's not a 2013
it's actually
read,
it's
but
just 2 books, right?
oh, is it 2 books?
Yeah, it's just 2.
It's a difficult read.
And it's really it's amazing, and
It's just it's a one of those stories where there's many people and it gets masterfully woven into one thread, and it's really impressive because it's a very hard read, but it's a very worthwhile read.
Back to movies real quick. Did any of you guys see Ender's Game?
No, it's one of my favorite
No.
books ever, and I refuse to ruin my childhood memories.
You don't want to see Indiana Jones and Han Solo tell a kid how to shoot
yeah,
ships?
I was just about to say that.
I saw that trailer and I said no, not seeing it. I swear to God.
Yeah.
So did you guys read any graphic novels this year?
I read comic books. I really didn't read that many graphic novels.
Well, you did read.
I read The Killing Joke, and I went back. I try to read Dark Knight Returns often, and I read Batman Year One again. Those are fantastic books. I actually want to check out Neil Gaiman's The Sandman because I just heard they're going to make it into a movie.
I bought
and
that.
everybody's saying it's like the best comic.
I bought that on my Kindle, and I don't think I ever actually even started it.
Yeah.
But I have that. That's like in the queue for me.
Yeah, I've never read anything by Neil Gaiman. Is it Gaiman or?
And by my Kindle, I mean
I think it's Gaiman.
my Nexus 7.
I've
but-
never read anything by him, but actually, yeah, I was gonna go. Like, I haven't really read any novels or anything like that this year, but I've actually been into Batman, big time comic books. DC in 2011 relaunched their whole universe, and Scott Snyder, he writes it, and Greg Capullo, he illustrates it, draws it. They just have this amazing Batman run going on right now.
Yeah.
and it's something like
Did they reboot it from the beginning?
they rebooted it.
Okay.
And like that seems insane. Like you have like I don't know, Batman probably came out in the 50s, the 40s. I don't know. I'm not like a historian, but that seems insane. Of all the stories that people have already done, and to create new material for an iconic, probably the most popular comic book character. It's amazing how well they do these stories, and they're so good. I don't want to go into too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but right now there's a couple volumes out that they've done. The Court of Owls, Death of the Family, and 0 Year. That's the current run is 0 Year, which is insane because Frank Miller, he made Batman. The Batman that we know from the Christopher Nolan movies is all Frank Miller. And
The really dark,
Yeah.
gritty Batman, yeah.
and
Love Frank Miller.
Frank Miller's Batman Year One is one of the best books I've ever read. And Scott Snyder has the job of doing it again. And that I couldn't imagine having to rewrite like
But you
a
like
classic.
it so far. You think he's done a really nice job.
I haven't. I've been staying away from it. Yeah, I want to wait until it's done because I like.
Okay.
I love my comics, but I like to wait until they go into volumes because I don't want.
That's how I devour TV shows. I watch Breaking
Yeah.
Bad in about a week.
I don't because I do all digitals, and I don't like to wait like 2 or 3 weeks for the next issue. I'd rather wait until I get a volume and then I can sit down
Like read it
and
like
read
a
the
book,
whole thing.
kinda, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been reading. I've been trying to catch up, and I've been going back. I went back to Batman. One of my favorite artists is Jim Lee, so I've been reading a lot of his stuff, and this stuff is pretty old. But I went back and started reading Hush. And if you can read that, it's one of the best Batman stories I've ever read. It's by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee, and it's phenomenal.
I was never into the graphic novel world too much, but I think it was on IGN, I saw The Killing Joke, and I bought that, and then I saw The Joker was on there too, which you definitely need to read because that's awesome. Is that what's called? I think it's just called The Joker. But Benny, I think you made me read Watchmen, which is awesome. Really, really good.
Yeah,
Better than the
I mean,
movie.
that's sort of the standard bearer for the whole genre, I would say.
I mean, that's a book, really, you know.
Yeah. So, and what I would recommend from this year was Saga, and it's by Brian K. Vaughan, and I think Fiona Staples is the illustrator.
I've never heard of this.
Me either.
And it is awesome. I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean,
Did you read it in print or on a Nexus 7?
No, I read it on my Nexus 7.
Okay.
And,
Do you know who the publisher is?
I don't really know. It's I mean, it's in volumes now, so there's 2 volumes now. And I mean, it is some crazy. It's like sci-fi kind of stuff, but very clever, amazing art, and again, some of the weirdest stuff you'll ever see. Like, there's nothing like it. I don't know how else to describe it.
Is it very adult like the rest of these that we're talking about?
Yeah, super violent. There's a lot of nudity in it. So you can't really read it.
Gets
Can't really read it on the
seal of approval.
You said it was called Saga?
It's called Saga. Yeah, Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. So there's 2 volumes out that cover. It's hard to buy on Amazon because they have like all the individual comics that you can get. But I would just buy the volume 1 and volume 2. And
Well,
just buy volume 1.
I use
Guarantee you'll like it.
Comixology. That's how I get my comics. And I really like it.
Okay.
Is that an app?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an app. It's a fantastic app.
Check it out though. I think you will absolutely love it. I think
I'm
you'll.
adding them
I
to
mean,
my wish list right now.
We're going to post either on 8bitbourbon.com or the show notes or something. We'll tweet this out, but we're going to post a link to just about everything that we're talking about today.
Yeah,
everything
so if
that
you
makes
miss
sense.
a name, don't worry about it. We'll have
give you a
everything
link to buy it. And unfortunately, none of these people are paying us, so you can you can believe, just like the makers and the bullets.
Oh my god! Yeah,
they don't actually pay us.
And even though they're not paying us, I'll give Comixology a little shout out. Right now, they have Essential 25 graphic novel sale for $5.99. You can get 25. I think it's 25. Yeah, 25 different comics. I bought a couple.
This really ruined our pre-production because Adam's over there trying to look up the names of the stuff he's read this year, and all of a sudden he spent $100.
All Scott Snyder's and Greg Capullo's information correct, and then I'm like, oh shit, there's a sale. And then I bought Batman Year One Batman Earth Zero, and then Death of the Family or Death in the Family. I don't know. That's the problem with comic books. They're so intimidating right now because there's so many different stories.
I wouldn't even know how to get started.
Yeah, that's the thing. I listen to a lot of comic podcasts just because I'm trying to get back into them, and it's so hard to start because I want to go back and read stuff that we've seen in the last couple movies. I want to read Talia al Ghul stuff, Bane stuff, and I want to see. I don't know. It's just impossible to figure out where to start.
Especially in the Batman universe because there's so much content.
That's why if you really want to get back in the comics, I highly recommend what Scott Snyder is doing with new Batman series.
Okay. For books, just to wrap that up for me, this is why I frequently get emails that say Amazon has new epic fantasy books for you. The books that I read I'm not sure all these are 2013, that I even read them in 2013, but they're close. Benny, we read the Black Prism books. They are 10s. I absolutely love them.
I kind of thought that was 2012, but I think the sequel
I'm not
was
really sure.
2013.
Yeah,
so.
It was close. I'm not sure. I might have read The Blinding Knife, I believe was the last one in 2013.
What a great name for a book, by the way.
Awesome.
I mean,
and also
it's you want someone to ask you, hey, what are you reading? I'm reading The Blinding Knife.
Yeah. However, you'll be really embarrassed when you show them the cover art. It is the worst cover art I've ever seen in a book. It looks like a bad fantasy, not a bad fantasy, a bad romance novel. It is horrible cover art. But, as you know, the guy who writes it has nothing to do with that. So it's one of the best books I've ever read. Black Prisms, we'll see how the story ends in the future books. But Ready
Fantastic
Player.
story. Love the characters. Like as soon as you mentioned it, I like my
It made
mind
you
just
happy,
turns
right?
to those characters, and I'm like, oh, I just think about them, and I can't wait. I think the next one comes out next year.
Oh God,
so,
I can't wait. And the magic system is so brilliant. Part of any great
Yeah.
fantasy book where it doesn't feel so corny. You know, when it's just like magic everywhere, it can, you know, as an adult, it can feel a little
Yeah. Well,
cringe.
no one's got a robe on with a staff. you know?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but there
I
could
don't
be.
think so, at least.
And then just to run down the rest of them, Blood Song is a must-read. It was a small publisher, maybe even self-published. Book was a 10. We were very
Yeah,
excited.
that was actually republished in 2013 by Penguin, I think. So
Yeah,
it's-
that one
counts
caught-
as 2013.
I pre-ordered the next one. I think it's got a legitimate price to it. I can't remember what, but, you know, 12, 15.
Yeah,
The first one was
yeah,
like $1.
it's coming out in July, though. July 1st, 2014. so.
That's a must-buy. Ready Player One, loved the idea. It's a basically a massively multiplayer game in the future where a billionaire hides his fortune when he dies, and people have to compete in a series of games, and it's a throwback to the land of 80s arcade games. And I didn't think the execution was perfect. I thought it was a little sloppy, but if you love video games, especially if you grew up in that time, it's a great read. Wouldn't you agree, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably a better read if you're closer to 40.
Absolutely. Our
just
brother
because
Joe,
a lot of the stuff.
like, I'm not sure
Yeah.
he read it, but if he did, he would love that book because that's his glory days of video games, you know.
Yeah, like if you played, some of the old arcade games with greasy pizza fingers in the 80s, you will like this book.
And let's be serious. If you're of age and you're listening to this podcast, you know you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have already read this book. We probably
Yeah,
can't
right.
move on.
This is exactly. And the
should inquire.
final book, just to show that I don't always read fantasy novels. I traveled to Germany and I read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. Great book if you're looking for World War II and especially Nazi Hitler history.
Look at you.
Very
Smart
good book.
guy.
Yeah, and I wanted to. Actually, I got a couple things real quick.
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to sum up my books, but go ahead.
Ben was talking about Saga graphic novel right now on Comixology. The first issue is free, so if
Give it a try.
give it a try,
It's a demo,
absolutely.
free demo.
And also, probably the greatest Joker story ever told is on sale right now for $5.99. The Killing Joke, that's on there. And I wanted to give a shout out to my personal Bible. I'm a big history guy. A People's History of the United States is a book that every American should read. It is the true history of our country. Everything you've learned in growing up in like America, going through history classes, what they teach you in high school and elementary school it's so sugar coated. It's amazing how how we learn history. And A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn is a must read.
Does a nice job summing up
It's
kind of
amazing.
everything, too.
Yeah, it's amazing because how do you talk to like first and second graders about slavery and stuff like that? There's so many things that, and like the Indians, there's so many things like we don't know that this book it tells the way it is, and it's a book I like. I don't always go back and read the whole thing, but there'll be times when I always keep it by my nightstand, and there'll be times I just pick up and just pick a random chapter and read it because it's just amazing.
The older I get, the more I'm interested. But I hated history. Was the one subject I really didn't like in school. I pretty much loved everything else.
I love history.
Yeah, and
this is the
since
book to read.
since I've gotten older, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like reading that Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, it was fascinating because I knew the basics of World War II. I knew but it goes from like when Hitler is an infant all the way up until
Well, you got to remember
the
most
fall.
of the things we started learning were kids, and
Yeah.
they're not going to teach us. They're not going to teach us the gory details.
Yeah, and I was a computer science
Yeah.
major, so I didn't really take a lot of history classes in college
yeah,
when I started to.
If you can read it, I highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal book.
You got anything else, Benny?
No, I think that's good for books. I think, look, I read a bunch more, but I think they probably don't make what I liked enough to talk on this podcast.
I agree. But it was
so.
those books that we mentioned, those are some of my favorite books of all time. I would say the only better year of reading I ever had, I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but I read at least 2 of the Game of Thrones books before they were an HBO show, so I didn't even know that they were the big deal that they were, and then I followed that up with Name of the Wind. So that was the best reading year of my life, I would say. But as far as diversity, this year was amazing.
Yeah, you guys have quite the intimidating list. Like I was talking about comic books being intimidating. You guys just dropped a lot of books.
Hey, once you have an hour commute each way to work, your reading capacity gets way up there. I read a lot now. So
All right. Speaking of driving, what else do we do in our cars on our commute? We listen to music. What kind of music we listen to this year?
Well, I'm probably the least of the music consumers this year, so I'll just get one out of the way that I know all of us enjoyed, which is the new Daft Punk album, which was a 10. I loved every song on it, which is very rare these days. If you haven't listened to it, other than the obvious, which Lose Yourself to Dance and
Get Lucky.
I thought that Touch was incredible. Anyway, I'm sure everyone who's listening to this has listened to that album anyway. But
it was a weird It was a weird year in music for me because I finally I finally got into vinyls, so I spent a lot of time of the year going back and trying to find like my favorite albums of all time and buying them. And then in June, Google Music came out, and I was always subscription-based music anyways. I used Rdio before Google Music, but I always use like just pick random channels. Like I'll pick like one of my favorite bands, or my favorite band is Radiohead. So I'll just pick a Radiohead thing. I was never going out and seeking like new music. So this is a really weird year for me because usually I'm a big music guy. I like to go and try to find everything. That's one thing I liked about Rdio. I thought it did a great job of like getting
exploring music,
new content in front of you. I don't think Google Music does a very good job of that, especially because before like last recent couple updates, they never even gave you what year an album came out, so you never even knew what the new stuff was. Like you say, you discover a band and there's 3 albums, you don't know which one's the new one. It was a mess, but now they finally do it.
And that can set you up for really embarrassing things.
Like you guys hear that new,
like my father, being like, "What's this new band? Pearl Jam or something."
It's just stupid. They finally fixed that, but couple of my favorites were. I just said my favorite band of all time is Radiohead, and Tom York. He's got this like I hate the term supergroup because every time you use it, it's like these horrible 90s like alternative bands have shitty people in them. You get like I don't even know how to get into it. You get like the Vince Young, the Motley Crue guy. He'll be with like Ozzy Osbourne, and they're not a supergroup. They're not. I'm sorry. Maybe Ozzy's okay with Black Sabbath back in the day, but whatever. But Tom York, he's got a band called Atoms for Peace. They came out with an album called Amok. Fantastic. One of the best. Because I don't really understand if you like people don't like Radiohead. I don't understand that because I think they're the greatest. But this band, if you like Radiohead, you would love Atoms for Peace. That's up there. But my absolute favorite album of the year is the Arctic Monkeys. The album's called AM. Fantastic album.
Yeah, I like the Arctic Monkeys. I don't know. I kind of they come on my radio and I say, "Oh, I really like the song. Oh, it's Arctic Monkeys," but I don't know that much about them.
They're a hard band because their first 2 albums, they were like poppy and rocky.
Well, it's like Radiohead. Every album was like a different sound.
They had such a cool sound. They were like selling just amazing amounts of albums. They had like such a unique sound. You think they were going to do this great thing, and all of a sudden, the lead singer, he's one of those people that's extremely talented, maybe too talented. And then he decides to go another direction, and it doesn't quite work. And it took they have 5 albums. AM is their 5th album, and the albums 3 and 4 were they're just going in a direction you're like you don't know where they're gonna be. Like it's as a fan because they were at the time they were probably my favorite band. I was like, I don't know if I can keep listening to these guys. And then finally with this album, they hit. You figure out what he was trying to do. And it's I don't like to say the word perfect, but it is almost a perfect album in my eyes because
it's a really good album.
It's amazing.
I liked it a lot.
Oh, you've listened to that one, Benny?
Yeah, I actually heard him say in an interview on Sirius XMU, which is my favorite radio station on Sirius. It's like the indie rock station on Sirius. But he said, with all our previous albums, everybody really respected us as a top-notch live band, and he's like, with this album, I think we're really showing that we can be a top-notch recording band, which is kind of a weird thing for somebody to say.
It's kind of the opposite.
I kind of agree
of normally.
I never really liked their albums, and I knew that people were big fans of them, and I just didn't get it because maybe I didn't go to their concerts, maybe that's where the fun was being had. But I really like this new album. I think it's really creative, and it's easy to like. You know, like I feel like a lot of their other music was kind of like an acquired taste. So
I don't want to have to work to
Yeah,
like
well,
my
that's the way the
music to
third and
enjoy
fourth
my
albums.
music.
It's like if you didn't hear that like the first two albums, you'd be like, this band's terrible because the first two albums are catchy, they're poppy, they're like it's like a cool
I've
sound.
heard
It's not,
those
it's not a
songs,
sound
yeah.
that anybody else is really doing, and then they decided to change it up on 3 and 4, and it's like the third album. It was just like when I heard it, I was like, who is this? And then the fourth one, they kind of found their sound a little better, but now I think it's a phenomenal album.
And do you have
so
anything
what did you
else,
guys
Benny?
think of the Arcade Fire?
That's what I was
album
going to
this
ask
year?
you, Ben, because you and your wife, you actually got me into Arcade Fire.
Yeah,
And-
well, I mean, we have tickets to their Brooklyn concert in August coming up. So,
Nice.
I mean, I think Reflector is great. I highly recommend watching the video. If you there's a video for the whole album, like it's like a movie kind of.
Is that they did that with the last album, like the Spike Jones videos, right?
Yeah, and so I think it's very weird, and but yeah, I think it's a great album. There's a couple songs that even like my daughter, they're so catchy that like if I play them, my daughters will go and they'll jump up and down and dance.
Ben brought his two daughters to Thanksgiving, and it was one of the funniest things ever because I'm sure this happens to a lot of parents where their kids find a tune catchy and that's that song they love. But for his two daughters, it's a Arcade Fire song, and they both went from kind of being a little anxious, a little uncomfortable to clapping and dancing, and it was absolutely hilarious. Because I'm like, this is an Arcade Fire song that they like. It's
great.
You're waiting for the like a Disney song or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a great album. I think, it's another thing I just love about Arcade Fire is like it's an album. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can listen to it from top to bottom, and the arrangement, like the order of the songs is on purpose. So I really like that, and I also liked quite a bit the Phosphorescent album called Muchacho, which I haven't gotten many people to listen to because they're very obscure. But
You've tried with me. I've listened to such little music.
I'm
though,
a
I
big
just haven't
indie guy,
done it.
so if it's indie, I'd probably listen to it.
Yeah, Phosphorescent's great. I mean, they have a couple of other albums that you may have heard, but this one I thought was really good. I would best describe it as kind of like indie country, but without any twanginess. It's
So like a folk kind of thing.
Like more like
It's-
more
yeah,
Avett
it's kind of
Brothers than
folk. Yeah. But it's
can't name any country
It's very
artists.
harmonious, I would say, and sort of epic. They like to do epic songs where they have like, huge vocal. It's really good. I would check those two out. Those are and obviously, I mean, Daft Punk. So between Daft Punk, Arcade Fire, and Muchacho, those are the albums that I've basically worn out this year. So I probably won't listen to them ever again. I've listened to them like 30 times in a row. But
So you're telling me neither of you downloaded the new Beyonce, or as my dad calls her,
No,
Beyonce.
but I
album?
heard an interesting thing about one of her songs.
What is-
I heard she was getting dirty lyrically.
I don't know.
in one of the songs. Which
I care just so little.
I know, but it was kind of sexy.
Yeah, well, maybe she could take us out next week for our outro song. I will
how
say,
does that work? Can we play it? I would love to play an Arc Monkey song. But
I'm not sure. We'll have to ask our lawyers.
We got a team of lawyers.
all I can say is that Beyonce album was a surprise to everyone. For me, every Beyonce release. Like,
You don't mark it down in your calendar.
No, yeah, it's not like there's no fair warning for me.
I have to say though, as a business move, you have to be kind of. I'm not a big fan of her music, but you have to be pretty impressed with that maneuver.
I think it's pretty impressive that they got
to
it
keep
out
it hidden.
keep it hidden because everything.
That's
gets out
crazy,
now.
and they recorded videos, everything.
Yeah, she can't keep hidden like what she's
know
wearing.
what- it'd be great if she
so,
did-
Yeah, I thought it was cool that way. I just don't care about that kind of
Yeah.
music.
It would have been better if she just kept it hidden. Maybe her and Justin Bieber can work on a hidden album that just never comes out.
That would be good. Yeah, that's the ultimate hipster.
Oh,
thing.
Ben,
It's
how much
like-
are you gonna
it's like,
love it when
here's my
your-
album,
when your
never
girls
heard of
grow-
it.
How much are you gonna love it
What's
when
that?
your girls grow up and the new Justin Bieber comes around? That's all you get in your house.
Ben won't allow that.
Hopefully I'll rub off a little bit on them and they'll be something like me. But you never know. I'm sure they'll be more like their friends than they are like me.
And because the Jets are out of the playoffs now, I'm still looking forward to the Super Bowl because Bruno Mars will be playing.
Yes.
Who?
Oh, yeah,
Unlike Rihanna, who I can hide behind the fact that maybe people think that I think she's hot, but in reality, I just really like her music. I don't really have that. I mean, I guess people could just think I think he's hot, but
she's got a
I
sexy
actually,
voice.
I'm not being funny. I actually really do think Bruno Mars is good. So I'm looking forward to
I thought you
that.
were going to say hot.
I really do think Bruno
like
Mars is
Bruno.
hot.
I think he was one of the better hosts of Saturday Night Live in the last,
He actually
few
hosted the
years.
whole thing, or just
Yeah, he hosted and was a musical guest.
Oh wow,
Not many people
I
do
didn't know
that.
He did that.
Yeah,
he's
was
a big
funny,
deal now.
He sang.
I mean, he's
Lady
no
Gaga
Miley
did
Cyrus,
that
but I'm
this
sure he
year,
did
and
well.
She was
I'm
quite
sure
good
he did
too.
okay.
I loath to say, but she was great as a host.
Who was?
As well, so Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Great
Miley
host.
Cyrus.
She's
too.
very
Great host.
interesting.
She was hilarious.
yeah.
So, she was a little bit self-deprecating. She wasn't so. You would expect her to be very
I'm expecting her to be.
self-important.
Oh
but she
God,
just
yeah, that's exactly
picked
what
on
I'm expecting.
herself. Like she was great.
Yeah.
All right,
Does anyone have any other music?
No, I think it is. You want to close it out with some little tech?
Yeah, we'll do a little
We
a
are
few gadgets.
We are kind of a tech podcast that we never really talk about tech.
That's true.
Unless this sounds like Xbox One or PS4.
Yeah, I think that counts.
Yeah.
Go ahead, lead it off.
This year was the year for me with Kickstarter. Actually, the one I want to talk about, I think I ordered it. I think it was December of how do I want to say this? 2011 or
Yeah.
2012?
Yeah.
2012. I think it was 2012. It came out I think it was right before Christmas. It was the Locatron. It was the automatic deadbolt.
Oh yeah, I want one of those.
And mine's somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, you still haven't gotten it.
I still haven't gotten it. They've had so many problems. That was the one thing I was very excited for. But the one thing that
it's a Wi-Fi enabled.
Yeah, and
thing
like,
on
it's
app
like
on your phone. It'll
in-
turn your deadbolt
yeah,
basically.
Bluetooth.
it's hard to talk about it because I was so excited for them, and it's a mess.
Yeah.
Like I think they're shipping out some people's. Mine's not even close to being ready to be shipped out. But it's also got like NFC, like you can touch your phone to it.
Right.
It's awesome. And like I'm such a little nerd. I have like NFC like little stickers
Yep.
all over my apartment. So when I'm leaving my house, I can touch my wall.
Reset the settings.
Yeah, it turns
whatever you
turns
want.
like my Wi-Fi off, and it turns it on vibrate and stuff like that when I leave the house. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I haven't gotten it. I don't know when I'm gonna get it.
Hopefully soon.
But the one thing I did get, and the one thing I really really enjoyed for a while, and before the novelty wore off, was my Pebble smartwatch. Mm-hmm. And that thing was awesome.
I really like. I will have a smartwatch someday. I'm just waiting for them to get it right.
Yeah. And they do a lot of things right on the Pebble. I liked the screen. I liked how it was like the e-ink. I liked. I didn't need anything flashy.
Because you need the battery. That's one of the biggest problems.
Like it lasts
the
like
battery
a
can be
week.
very bad. Yeah.
But the one thing that eventually wore me down and why I don't wear my Pebble a lot is that I like being able to keep my phone in my pocket. But when you're sitting at dinner, like with your family, like you're using your phone's on silent.
By the way, he does not like to keep his phone in his pocket. That
No,
is
but I
bullshit.
was actually trying. Like
Yeah.
you can weed through your messages and figure out like what's important, what you want to write back to. But the one thing that got me was the vibrating on the Pebble is so obnoxiously loud.
Yeah.
It's a distraction at dinner. Like if
Yeah.
your phone vibrates, nobody really like bats an eye. But if you have this thing on your wrist and you hear like the vrr,
You
and
end up taking it off and putting it in your pocket.
everybody looks at you and you're like, you're not wearing it to draw. I'm sure you do draw a little bit of attention with the Pebble because it's a watch that reads your text messages and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it ended up being like just something I didn't end up want to be wearing.
Yeah.
After like 6 months.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all my tech.
What do you got, Benny?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Live Scribe pen, right? I thought that thing was really cool, but I used it at a client meeting once, and everybody goes, "What's that?" And I never used it again in a client meeting because I didn't want to have to answer that question.
Yeah,
That's funny.
That's what it just got old after a while.
And this is a nerdy thing that only the nerdiest of nerds has, and now judge me. For me, I think technology this year was not terribly exciting. One thing I'll say is that I'm really happy that iOS got updated. I'm not even an iOS guy, but I think that it was embarrassing that it had been 6 years without changing that thing. And I'm really happy that Apple is looking modern again, and I think it weirdly. For me on the software side, I thought Android had gotten so far ahead that I think now Android has to jump ahead again. I think they were a bit getting comfortable with their software lead. That said, I think Android got kind of buggy this year. I mean, I just like, for example, the Chromecast was a cool gadget this year. I have one, and it works well when it works, but it's just like everything else with Google. It's like they just don't get that last 5% of polish, you know. And that was my issue. I think Android, like with KitKat, they released the first version of KitKat had broken Exchange email. Like,
Yeah. That's
you know,
that's
can you
one
imagine?
of that's one of the emails. One of the things you loved about Android because it didn't warn you that you were offline in the subway 50 times every time you sent an email like iOS.
So yeah, I mean, Exchange email, it's a core feature. So the fact that they would release a system that has that broken, it just shows the kind of just disregard for customers I think that Google has right now. I think they're trying to push their
They're too worried about
strategy.
collecting your data to make money off of that.
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing their strategy, right? Their Google Plus, their own all information strategy.
The new phone dialer
Like,
is hooked into Google now. When you
Exactly.
type something in, it searches and
that
it
on
collects
KitKat?
that info
yeah.
on KitKat.
And that's
yeah.
all fun, and I like all those features. But damn it,
But
Exchange email
make
needs
the
to
phone work. Make the core stuff
You know?
work. Yeah.
Bluetooth music needs to work. I mean, there are things that just work on iOS and work extremely well. And I mean, not even extremely well, just they work with high probability. Like every time you try it, it works. And there's a lot of stuff in Android where you just kind of expect it not to work. And I think that to be honest, if the current trends continue, I might switch back to iOS because iOS to me looks like it's getting better. And Android to me, I feel like they're just missing some of the things that matter, just like the fit and finish and just the quality issues. And so again, I hate to be too much of a critic because I mean I'm an Android fan, right? I'm reading this note that I had to talk about that from a Samsung Galaxy S4 Google Play edition.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's
it's about as
that's
it's
a
about as
fan's
nerdy as it
phone
gets.
right there.
Yeah.
But still, I think Android, they have bugs open against Bluetooth that have been open since August, and there's just no progress.
Yeah.
And so I think they have an attitude problem, and I'd like that to get fixed. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm glad that at the same time, Apple's, I think, kind of kicking ass. I mean,
Yeah,
the
competition
iPad
is
Air,
competition is good.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you didn't want to see Android crush Apple. You don't want to see Apple crush Android.
Exactly.
So, okay, let me get a few of my tech things in here, and I get the monthly fancy box. If you haven't heard of that, they pick 5 things that are popular depending on the categories you select. And a couple of the neat ones I got were a portable cell phone charger, which I love. You take it, you don't throw it in your car. It's basically just a battery, and you have a cord to your phone. And in this day and age where we've all accepted phones that just don't last the whole day, which seems kind of crazy,
I carry
it's a great
two
thing
extra,
to have.
I carry 2 extra batteries in my pocket of all time.
Yes, so that's a really nice thing. And when you have to upgrade, you're not going to be able to do that probably.
Nope.
So that's something you should have for sure. Let's see. I just pre-ordered the Coin Card, which is a credit card that's digital that you can store all of your credit cards on and just carry that. And you can hit a button to change between your credit cards. I've been trying to minimize my wallet as much as possible, which is another gadget, I guess, if you want to call it that. I got the Ridge wallet, which is a Kickstarter wallet. And the Kickstarter wallets are all kick-ass. If you're looking for a new wallet, that you want a front pocket wallet, not a leather wallet, it's titanium. It has a money clip if you want that. It has elastic bands, and it can hold anything from a single dollar or a single card to, a fairly large wallet. Adam, you've seen it. Very cool,
Yeah.
very, very sleek. And when I
Yeah.
have the one coin, I'll be able to just put that one. That'll be all my credit cards.
Yeah, I'm still rocking my George Costanza wallet, and you got the nice fancy thing.
Between your phone and your wallet, you're embarrassing 8-Bit Bourbon.
Yeah.
We gotta upgrade you on those.
I know, right?
Maybe
Well,
I know what to get you for Christmas.
I'm gonna get a Windows. I think I'm gonna go Windows 8 phone.
Yeah, that'd be
So,
fun. I'd like
yeah.
to play with that because I honestly, if this phone is broken,
only problem is
which it might, my Nexus 4, if it's broken, I might do
Yeah,
the same.
I think we'll talk about next week of things we're looking forward to next year. But I think I'm going to take the plunge, go Windows. I think I'm going to miss out on email, and the whole Google Music thing is going to bother me. But I'll figure it out. Give it a try.
That'll be fun. And just the last things, I bought a portable steamer to bring on any sort of trip. Fantastic. I don't like ironing. I thought that would be a curveball for you.
I didn't know what it was. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Also, I got a liquor aerator for our bourbon. Once again, Bullet sponsoring us this week.
Yes, they are.
And my favorite gift of the year was my birthday gift from Ben. He bought me a Applebee's Ladies Night Out card for $50.
Yes, that was great.
we had a nice night out.
Some people might not know Applebee's is our official sponsor of our pre-production.
That's right.
Meetings
Thursday nights.
Thursday nights. Applebee's.
They pay for all of our drinks and food.
Yes, they do. Nope.
No, they don't. But they do when Ben buys us the Ladies Night Out card.
I think we stayed there quite a while.
That was the
I think
first.
we made 2 dates out of that.
Now, when we got that, I believe one of the nights might have been trivia night where we actually.
That's right.
We actually won more money.
Let's not. I don't want to go to
right.
trivia night because I'll get pissed.
Yeah,
But we won.
That's a whole other story.
We won.
All right, Benny. And speaking of gadgets, Ben's actually talking to us. He's Skyping in from his Xbox One, which
That's
is very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Sitting down, relaxing. And Ben, why don't you tell us what you're drinking, because that's a big part of the show.
Yeah, so I have an Italian red wine here, and it's a 2011 vintage.
It's a lovely
Usually
year.
Say it. There you go.
I like typically like younger wines. I know that's kind of odd,
No,
but,
that's all right. I'm into the.
but a
younger
good
stuff.
good ordering tip that works for me: if you go to a restaurant, you pick your price range, and then you pick the youngest wine, and that's usually the best one.
Interesting.
I hear that's popular in some foreign countries, but I don't necessarily know if it's about wine.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't want something from 2013, but I find that a 2009, you got to spend more, obviously, to get a good one. So
right. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like my women like I like my wine. 12 years old and locked in my basement. But
Yeah, well, that's disgusting.
yeah, I don't know how to transition that into an outro for Benny, but thanks for having it.
Yeah.
Thanks for phoning in here, Benny. We really appreciate it.
Hey guys, I enjoyed the podcast. I enjoyed listening to it. It was great to be on it. I don't know if I'm going to listen to this one because there's going to be a lot of me.
Yeah,
Oh, I hate
there's
that.
there's gonna be a lot of Adam tripping and falling over words.
Benny, you're just Polidor on Twitter, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Polidor. He's follow him
At
at
Polidor.
Polidore.
Loves Barack Obama.
He loves
Big
Barack
supporter.
Obama. Yep. He's he never talks anything
Never.
financial. But give him a follow, and soon we will have a combined website. We like to thank Benny. He's hosting 8-Bit Bourbon on his server, our website, 8bitbourbon.com, and he helps us with a lot of the tech support stuff. So we thank you for that, Benny.
Well, he helps.
Hey,
me
no
with the
problem.
tech support. I don't do anything.
Right, he helps me.
Get my programming fix,
That's right. All right, Benny. Well, thanks a lot. Get to bed since it's 3 a.m, and you probably have to wake up at 6 since you have kids.
Oh, yeah. I'll be up at 6:30 changing diapers, and
God bless
Yeah.
you. Maybe we can
Getting
Skype.
dressed,
Maybe we
ready
can
for the
video
day.
Skype, and I can see what it's like to be the married man.
now you just got to go take the plunge. You don't want it's like if the water's cold, you don't want to like feel it with
Right,
your foot. You just want to jump in.
Just jump right in. I could do that.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
All right,
man.
Benny. Good night. All right, boys and girls, that does it for episode 3. It was a little lengthy, but I feel that 2013 was a good year. Felt that we need to use the time and
Yeah.
sum it up right.
2013 was a great year.
Don't say that, but just because Ben's gone, don't anger him.
I grow a sack when Ben's gone.
Once again, you can follow us Instagram. We're 8-Bit Bourbon. You can follow us on Twitter. We're at 8-Bit Bourbon. You can email us 8bitbourbon@gmail.com. We really love to hear from you guys. Questions, comments.
please.
We really had a good run of downloads for episode 2. We're really excited about that. iTunes, we've been on the new and noteworthy, and we feel like we're getting a little momentum here. We'd love to have a little more interaction with the fans. Review, comment, send us anything. You can email us. We guarantee a response. We want to hear from you guys. What you like, what you don't like.
Yeah, you can tell me to have maybe 1 or 2 less drinks before I record, so I don't stumble
Or-
for 5 minutes about how I
or-
went to SeaWorld and then just reverse my story. And I think I went from New York to SeaWorld and New York to SeaWorld like 4 or 5 times.
You might have been
It was-
drinking
it was-
then
it
too.
was-
Maybe
it was
you
a quick
did.
trip, yeah.
Or you could ask him to drink 1 or 2 more and see how that goes.
Yeah, I could just be like,
But we'd like to thank Ben again. Big fan, big friend of the program, and he's a big help with the
yeah,
program.
tremendous help. He's like the person that's behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. And like we said, he hosts our website, which should be up by the time you guys hear this. I'm hoping to have that up and actually have some content on it. And so look forward to that. And get on iTunes, review us. Hopefully good, but if bad,
again,
once again, let us know.
Write to us because we want to talk to you guys. We want you guys can help the show become better.
Yeah,
and
we
look forward to talking to all of you.
We'd really like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys got to know us a little better today. See, we're not all video games.
Yeah, we wanted to give you a little taste of personalities.
Though we're mostly nerds. We can definitely say that.
Well, that's the beauty thing about nerds is like nerds don't have to be like your stereotypical nerds about video games or comic books. We're nerds about everything, pretty much everything we do. And I think that's what makes us
we're
nerds.
Big time sports fans.
Yeah.
We like to, we played a lot of sports. We love sports, I think, just as much as we love nerdy stuff. But I think we feel we have more to say about.
And I like how we're well-rounded nerds.
Yeah,
geeks.
I think so too.
Yeah, and that's
maybe we read graphic novels sometimes.
Yes,
but no apologies.
Yeah, and now I have a huge, tremendous novel list to read because you and Ben.
Yeah, I'm going to tear that off. I want you to check those off. I want you to read every single one of those.
Good God. I think I'll read them tonight.
All right. And we're going to absolutely put up either a link on the show notes or on the website, or probably on both, and definitely going to tweet it out with a link to just about everything we talked about. If something excited you, whether it was a book or a gadget, get on there, click it, check out reviews, buy it. I wish every one of these companies sponsored us, but they don't, so we promise these are things we really love. And
tell us what you liked.
Yeah,
send us an email.
Let us know what we missed. Let us know the books that we should be embarrassed. Yeah, the games that we should be embarrassed.
You guys hear me talk about how I'm trying to get back in the comic books. If you guys have I feel like I know the majority of the good Batman storylines, but if you have a personal favorite that maybe you don't think I know about, send me an email. Yeah. Let me know.
And we'd love to talk about it in the next show.
Exactly.
And I think that's pretty much it. We'd like to thank Chad Johnson, our producer. He did a really nice job last time. We had some technical difficulties, and he really cleaned it up nice. And he's about to get about an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes of 3 separate tracks, which he should be excited about.
Can I just say 8-bit bourbon so we get the little
little
dead thing?
Yeah, he does a nice job with the sound effects, and he's going to take us out on another original Chad Johnson track. It's called "It's All in My Head." You can follow him Reverb Nation /Chad Johnson 27. Vote him up. Comment on his stuff. Let him know how you like his music. And I think that pretty much does it. I'm Andy.
I'm Adam.
And we're 8-Bit Bourbon.